I'm Dayna J, Francois, and you're listening to Stirring the Plot. Whether you're gay, hot, or doing it for the plot, this is the podcast for you. We're here and we're queer, we're gay, and we slay. And there's something about birthdays that make you want to time travel. Not the sci-fi sense, no flashing lights, no DeLorean, but in the way that a scent can carry you back 10 years, or how the first sip of an espresso martini makes you remember the one summer you thought you were in love. I've been thinking about the last 26 years of my life as a series of plots. Some rom-coms, some drama, some psychological thrillers if we're being honest. I've been the main character, the best friend, the villain, and occasionally the plot twist no one saw coming. And I can't help but wonder, when did my life stop being about what I should do and start being about what I could do? Because here's the thing no one tells you about your mid-20s. It is not just a sequel to your early 20s, it is a genre shift. The lighting changes, the soundtrack matures. You start trading shots at the club for shots at the clinic, and your biggest crush might just be your own peace of mind. In the last few years, I've learned that love is not always a warm bed to crawl into. Sometimes it is a locked door. Sometimes it is an open road. Faith isn't a pew you sit in. It is the quiet decision to keep showing up for yourself when nobody is watching. And grief, well, grief is the uninvited +1 that teaches you how to dance with empty space. I've been loved well, and I've been loved poorly. I have been left without explanation, kissed without warning, prayed for in rooms I no longer walk into. I've met friends who feel like home, and I've had to board up the windows of homes that weren't safe to live in anymore. I've sat at the kitchen table with women who made me believe in God again, and I've also kissed women who made me believe in bad decisions. These lessons, these 26 little Polaroids from my life, are not just about who I've been. They are about who I am becoming. They are proof that you can grow through what you go through, that pruning is just as holy as planting, and that sometimes the plot twist is simply surviving to tell the story. So listeners, grab your drink. Mine is in an emerald glass with a sugared rim, because today is my birthday, and we've got 26 lessons to cover. Some will taste like champagne, some will taste like medicine. All of them will go down smoother if you sip slow. Lesson number 1. Love your own company the way you wanted someone else to love you. You see, in my early 20s, I thought solitude was a punishment. Silence was a void I filled with other people's noise, friends, situationships, the hum of a group chat. But solitude is not loneliness. It is the canvas where I learned to paint the version of myself that didn't need an audience. Alone, I learned I laughed out loud at my own jokes. I can make a bomb espresso martini at home, and I sleep best when I'm not waiting for someone to text me back. Loving my own company didn't mean I stopped craving connection. It meant that I stopped settling for connection that made me feel more alone than solitude ever could. Lesson number 2. Not every relationship is meant to be forever. Some love stories are just really good short stories. This one sounds obvious, listeners, but tell that to 21-year-old me who thought every intense connection was fake. Some people are seasonal, and that's okay. I mean, Taylor's version, a season of self-discovery. My 8-ball girl, a season of almost. And my ex, a season that burned fast and left ashes. Now, I measure relationships less by how long they last and more by what they gave me. The lessons, the laughter, the line I'll turn into a poem later. Not every chapter gets to be a sequel. So the lesson I take away is Taylor's version taught me not every character gets to be in the sequel. Taylor's version taught me that, and so did 8-ball girl. I wanted them to be novels, Pulitzer Prize winning sagas, but they were meant to be beautiful, page-turning, short-lived chapters, meant to leave me wanting more, not meant to keep going. And maybe the trick is not resenting that, but honoring it. Some stories aren't lesser just because they end sooner. They can still change you. They can still live in your nightstand drawer, dog-eared and underlined. Lesson number 3. Love should not feel like a gamble. My 8-ball girl, you know the kind, the one who make you think that the odds are worth it, even when you know the table is tilted. And with her, every moment felt like a coin toss between tenderness and tension. In my early 20s, I thought unpredictability meant passion. Now, I know it often means instability. I've learned to stop mistaking adrenaline for affection. And if I have to keep betting, it's not love, it's Vegas. Lesson number 4. Grief isn't linear. It's seasonal. You see, listeners, my mother died in 2016, but there are days, sometimes a random Tuesday, rainy afternoons, when I am right back in that hospital room. And then there are months where grief is just a soft shadow I carry. I used to think I was doing it wrong because the waves didn't get smaller. I just got better at swimming. And then I realized sometimes the tide comes back to remind you that love that deep never really leaves you, and neither does the ache. Losing my mom taught me that there is no calendar for when it's supposed to stop hurting. Sometimes the grief is quiet, sometimes it sucker punches you in the middle of the Trader Joe's aisle. And the best I can do is carry it in a way that leaves room for joy too. So listen, listeners, healing isn't moving on, it is moving forward. Lesson 5. Protecting your peace is a full-time job. You see, if someone had told 22-year-old me that no could be a complete sentence, I would have asked them for the sequel. I mean, back then, I thought boundaries were walls that kept people out. Now I know that they're fences that keep my garden growing. I have learned to walk away from conversations that drain me, friendships that deplete me, and relationships that feel like emotional debt. I can't afford overdraft fees on my peace anymore, and neither should you, listeners. Lesson number 6. Not all tension needs resolution. You see, in my early 20s, I thought every unanswered question deserved a dramatic conclusion. Friendships, flings, maybe even with magnetic energy. Surely, if I felt this much, there had to be an ending that tied it all together. And then there was Kitten Heels. A slow burn I could never quite call a fire, but could never fully put out either. We had 100 almost moments. Each one was a scene from a movie that never got greenlit. And when the credits rolled into real life, it wasn't a breakup or a blowout, just quiet ambiguity. You see, it taught me that chapters don't end. Not always. Sometimes they dissolve. And maybe that's okay. Not everything needs to be resolved to be meaningful. Some people are meant to be ellipses in your story, not periods. Lesson 7. You can't heal in the same place that hurt you. Believe me, listeners, I tried more than once with my ex, with old friends who swore they'd change, but healing in the same room where the damage happened is like trying to breathe clean air in a house full of smoke. I had to get out. I had to rebuild somewhere the walls didn't remember the shouting. Lesson 8. Friendship is a choice you renew. There is something about your late 20s that make you take attendance. Not the "are you here right now" kind, but the "have you been here" kind. In the last few years, I've watched people fall off the map, each teaching me in their own messy ways that not all exits are tragic. Some are overdue. But I've also seen who stayed. The friends who show up without needing a spotlight, who know how to hold space for your breakdowns and hype you up in the same breath. Friendship isn't a one-time commitment. It is a subscription both people have to keep renewing. If we're still laughing at the same stupid inside jokes 10 years down the line, then drinks are on me. Lesson number 9, and I love this one. Dating is research. I have been on enough dates to write a dissertation. The subject, red flags that look cute in the moment, like Taylor's version reminded me how dangerous it is to romanticize potential. My 8-ball girl showed me how even love can feel hollow if the timing and intentions aren't aligned, and my ex taught me that betrayal doesn't just break trust, it breaks the version of yourself who believed them. I used to think failed relationships were wasted time, but now I know they were field studies. Every person I've loved or almost loved has left me with a better data on what I actually want, and more importantly, what I won't tolerate. So listeners, my type now, people who text back and don't cheat. Lesson number 10. Being single is not a waiting room. I think that there's a pressure, especially as a femme lesbian, to treat singlehood like an intermission. Like I am just here waiting for the next big love story to start. But these last few years have taught me the art of main charactering my own damn life. I have traveled, made new friends, gone to events alone, and come back with stories I may read or boot up friends' envy. I have built a podcast. I've written essays that feel like love letters to myself. I am not biding my time until someone else arrives. This is the story. This is the plot. I'm not single per se. I am just in a long-term relationship with my own potential. Frame it like that, listeners. Lesson 11. Red flags are not carnival rides. In my early 20s, I treated red flags like invitations. If she was intense, mysterious, or not looking for anything serious, I was already buckled in for the ride. Now I know those rides always end the same way. Dizzy, broke, and wondering why you thought it was a good idea in the first place. Taylor's version mixed signals signals, red flag. 8-ball girl's emotional unavailability, red flag. My ex's double life, a whole damn carnival. These days, I do not just spot red flags. I fold them up and I hand them right back. And listeners, so should you. Lesson 12. Home isn't always a place. You see, for most of my life, I treated home like a fixed address. The house where you sleep, the city you're tied to, but losing my mom and watching my relationship with my father grow more and more distant taught me that home isn't just where you're planted. It is who you are tethered to. For me, it's my siblings, my nieces' laugh, my little nephew's little voices yelling my name. It is late night kitchen talks with Amanda and Michelle Lange. It is the feeling of being seen without having to explain myself. Lesson 13. You can grieve people who are still alive. I mean, I've had to bury relationships without funerals, romantic or platonic. I mean, losing people while they still walk this earth is its own strange kind of heartbreak. You can run into them at the grocery store and still feel the weight of the goodbye. Grief isn't always tied to death. Sometimes it is tied to the version of you they knew, the memories you can't share anymore, the future you won't see together. Closure in of itself is a luxury, but peace, that is a choice. So you can love people from a distance without losing the love. Some people aren't meant to be in your day-to-day anymore, and that's okay. Our friendships, there are certain people that I have relationships with that it's like an ocean. Sometimes we are on the same shore, sometimes separated by miles and silence, but the tide always comes back. Loving from afar is still loving, and sometimes it is the only way to protect what you have left. Lesson 14. Boundaries aren't walls. They are front doors. You see, for a long time, I thought that boundaries meant shutting people out, but now I know that they are how I decide who gets to step into my life and how far. A locked door doesn't mean I'm unfriendly or cold or closed off. It just means I'm careful. It means that I respect myself enough to decide who gets a key and who just gets to wave from the porch. You see, I grew up thinking that boundaries was just a polite way to say I don't like you. In reality, they are how I protect the parts of me that I actually want to share. From childhood, where no felt like a bad word, to adulthood, where no is how I keep my peace, the shift has been everything. Saying no to late night you up texts, no to taking on someone else's emotional labor, no to going out when I'm drained. It is all love, just love for myself first. So listeners, a boundary is just the doormat that says welcome instead of wipe your feet on me. Lesson 15. You don't owe anyone your survival story. You see, for years, I felt like I had to hand people the annotated trauma guide to explain why I was the way I was. My adoption, my upbringing, the losses I've lived through, I thought I owed it to people to make my pain make sense to them. But I've learned that survival is mine to divine. I can share what I want, when I want, with who I trust. The rest doesn't need to be public record. You see, my life is not an open book. It is a locked journal, and I am the only one with the key. Lesson 16. You can carry your younger self with you without letting her drive. When I was 13, I thought being loved meant being chosen first. When I was 16, I thought it meant changing myself to fit what someone wanted. But now I know that love isn't about being picked like a prize. It is about being met as an equal. You see, I honor those past versions of me, but I don't let them make my decisions for me anymore. Lesson 17. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself for staying too long, leaving too soon, or just not knowing better yet. Every version of me got me here, and that's what I want you to remember. You see, I've replayed certain moments, things I've said, things I didn't, like a glitching movie reel. The times I stayed too long, the times I left too soon, the way I ignored my intuition because I wanted the story to end differently. But beating myself up never rewrote the ending. It only delayed the next chapter. So learning to forgive myself has been harder than forgiving anyone else, but it has also been the most freeing. Listeners, think about it like this. For me, I can't hate the girl who survived enough to become who I am today. Lesson 18. The villain in their story might just be you. Not because you're evil, but because you finally set a boundary. Taylor's version painted me as cold when I stopped being her emotional Airbnb. My ex made me the bad guy when I stopped excusing betrayal, and honestly, let them write whatever ending they need to, because I know my truth. And if I'm the villain, at least I am well written. You see, if someone makes you the villain in their story, that is their plot twist to live with, not yours. At 26, I've stopped defending myself in stories I didn't write. If someone needs me to be the problem so that they can feel like the hero, fine. That is their narrative and it's not my truth. Lesson 19. Faith can be reclaimed. When you grow up in the church, faith can feel like a performance review you can never quite pass. I learned early on that my questions made people uncomfortable, that my queerness was something to pray away. But I've since learned that faith doesn't belong to people who weaponize it. I get to take back the parts that feel true. The community, the quiet, the belief that love is the whole point, and leave the rest at the altar. I have traded sermons that shamed me for Sunday mornings in bed, coffee in hand, talking to a higher power the way I would talk to a friend. Turns out, God, however you want to look at her, doesn't care what I'm wearing, who I'm loving, and what I'm showing up as long as I am me. Lesson 20. Joy is not frivolous. Growing up in a household shadowed by rules and reverence, joy sometimes felt like something you had to earn, or worse, justify. In my early 20s, I thought I had to work through all of my trauma before I deserved soft moments. Now I see joy as survival. It's a pretty girl leaning over in the middle of the night to kiss me just because. It is a friend hyping me up over something so ridiculous. It's laughing until my face hurts with my sisters. You see, joy doesn't erase the hard parts. It makes surviving them worth it. I don't schedule joy anymore, listeners. I let it crash the party. So let joy be inconvenient. Sometimes you have to go out dancing when you're tired, or say yes to last-minute ice cream runs. Accept the FaceTime call in your bonnet. Not every meaningful thing has to be planned. Sometimes the best memories are the ones you make when you rearrange your schedule. Lesson 21. Love should not feel like a gamble. Let me take it back to 8-Ball Girl. You know the kind, the one who makes you think the odds are worth it, even when you know the table is tilted. But with her, every moment felt like a coin toss between tenderness and tension. And in my early 20s, I thought unpredictability meant passion. Now I know it often means instability. I've learned to stop mistaking adrenaline for affection. And if I have to keep betting it's not love, it'll be in Vegas. Lesson 22. Sometimes the plot twist is you. You see, I've spent years narrating my own life like it's a rom-com, waiting for the meet cute, the grand gesture, the inevitable reconciliation. But the older I get, the more I realize I have been my own plot twist all along. Graduating, moving, cutting ties with people I thought I couldn't live without, saying yes to new friendships when I swore I was closed off. All of these rewrote my storyline in ways no relationship ever could. It turns out I was the main character and the plot twist at the same time. Listeners, you can be your own surprise ending. I've been mine. New jobs, new friends, new confidence. The plot changes when you decide to. And some of the best things are never on your own timeline. I mean, I thought by 26 I'd have certain boxes checked. Marriage, career milestones, being settled, stability with a capital S. But life has a way of editing your script. So instead, I'm fulfilled, curious, and still evolving. Instead, I have a podcast I love, friendships that feel like soul ties, writing projects that light me up, and a sense of self I wouldn't trade for anything. Remember that the plot twists make the story worth telling. Lesson 23. Community is a love language. The older I get, the more I realize that friendship isn't just the people you grab brunch with. It is the people who sit with you on the bathroom floor when you can't stop crying, who remember your coffee order, who send you memes that make you laugh until your ribs hurt. From Genesis and Alexa's wild night recaps to Winter's deep dive conversations about identity to the way Imana and Mr. Launch have been my constants for decades. My community is my safety net and my hype team. Chosen family isn't just a phrase people throw out. It is the people who make the world less lonely. And for me, I have to remember that family is chosen as much as it's given. Some of the safest places I've ever found myself to be have been in living rooms that weren't mine, surrounded by people I'm not related to by blood. The people who stayed remind me that family is the one who show up over and over without keeping score. Lesson 24. I am allowed to be the love of my own life. This is the headline. I don't have to wait for someone else to treat me the way I deserve because I can do that all by my damn self. It is the one lesson everything else has been leading to, listeners. Every heartbreak, every goodbye, every friendship, every late night cry. It has all been teaching me how to choose myself. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that makes me whole. Because at the end of the day, the person I go to bed with, wake up with, and live every moment with is me. And she deserves flowers, espresso martinis, and the kind of love that doesn't waver. Everyone else is just supporting cast. I am the headline, and so are you. Lesson 25. Growth is loud in hindsight, but quiet in the moment. You don't always feel yourself changing while it's happening. You only notice when something that would have shattered you 2 years ago doesn't even make you flinch now. That is growth. I mean, it's subtle, but it's yours. And finally, Lesson 26. Everything is for the plot. Listen, maybe it's the writer in me or the part of my brain that refuses to let pain exist without a purpose, but I've started treating my life like a season of television I refuse to cancel before the cliffhanger. The heartbreaks, they are mid-season plot twists. The ones that make you throw your phone across the couch and yell at the screen, "She did what?" But you know you'll keep on watching because you need to see how the character survives it. The friendship breakups, they are the episodes where the supporting cast shifts. New faces walk in, and some recurring favorites stick around, and the villains exit in a dramatic slow motion. The moves, they're just set design changes. The new scenery, new lighting, new possibilities for the same main character to fall in love, screw up, and try again all over. The nights crying on the bathroom floor, they're the monologue episodes. The raw, stripped down moments where the background score fades and it's just you, mascara running, whispering lines you'll never say out loud again. And maybe, if you are lucky, a version of you in the future will look back and see the scene for what it was, the breaking point that started the rebuild. The surprise kisses, that's the part the fan base rewinds and posts gifs to of on Tumblr. The spark you didn't see coming, the plot device that reminds you not everything has to be earned in blood and sweat. Sometimes joy will just show up. Here's the thing, the new beginnings, they are the season premieres, the wide shot pans over the skyline, the theme song that swells, and the camera finds you, changed, but still here. And here's the thing, listeners, life doesn't give you a script. You improvise, and sometimes it is really bad. Sometimes it is brilliant. But if you start seeing it all as a part of a bigger arc, and if you stop trying to cut the painful scenes from the real, you'll realize they're the ones giving the story its depth. So take the risk, say the thing, walk into the bar like the camera is tracking your every move, and when it all blows up in your face, well, listeners, that's just the mid-season finale. You are the main character, and the plot is still unfolding. So there you have it, 26 lessons, but I do want to share how they all come together for me. And so I've kind of summarized these lessons and this overall theme of growth, this, I guess, takeaway for me, mantra, if you will, that I will be carrying into this next season of my life is the timers we keep. So I would like to share with you a quick little essay that I wrote called The Timers We Keep. If birthdays are timers for the years that we live, and maybe everything else we love has its own clock too. Birthdays are the easiest to measure. You can circle the date on a calendar, count down the days, pretend it's just another trip around the sun, or admit it is a checkpoint you can't ignore. For me, birthdays have always been equal parts confetti and quiet ache because they're not just cake and candles. They are grief disguised as celebration. See, every year I feel the absence of people I cannot invite, the ones who will never sit at my table again. But birthdays also remind me of the ones who are still here. They're a soft alarm, nudging me to notice who's still showing up, who's still singing for me when the candles are lit, and if nothing else, they are a timer for reflection, proof that I've made it another year whether I coasted or crawled. If birthdays mark the years, then friendships mark the spaces in between. I used to think friendship was permanent, that the people I called my person would be there for me in every season after. But some friends are like the weather. You don't feel the shift until one day you realize you're standing in a different climate. Losing them can feel sharper than a breakup because nobody warned you it is coming. No countdown, no last kiss, just an absence. And yet, there are the ones who stay and the ones who have been here all along. They are proof that not every bond erodes. Some get stronger, like steel tempered by time. Friendships are clocks we check without thinking, glancing up to see who's still walking beside us as the hours pass. pass. Romantic love is a trickier timer. Every relationship has its own tempo. Taylor's version had the slow build, the quick exit. 8-Ball Girl felt endless until the countdown hit 0. Kitten Heel's clock was so quiet, I can't tell if it stopped or if I just learned to stop listening. And my ex was an explosion. No ticks, just shrapnel. Love can rush forward in weeks or stretch for years past its expiration date. And you never know which one you're in until the hands have already moved. I've stopped measuring love by how long it lasts and started measuring by how much of myself I get to keep. The right person won't make you choose between your love for them and your love for yourself. And then there's identity, the one timer you can't reset. Growing up, I thought it was fixed. Who you were at 16 was who you'd always be. But when you're a queer, black woman raised in the church, identity becomes a secret clock, ticking in your chest while you try to muffle the sound for everyone else. Falling in love with women, learning to pray without shame, surrounding myself with people who made me bigger, not smaller. The last few years have felt like watching my own life bloom in real time. No longer looking over my shoulder to see who's keeping count. No longer trying to pause myself at palatable. Identity is the clock I trust now. The one I know will always run in my rhythm, even if no one else hears it. We all keep these timers, whether we mean to or not. Birthdays for the years, friendships for the seasons, love for the heartbeats, identity for the self we grow into. They remind us that time doesn't just pass, it shapes us. And maybe the real trick isn't stopping the clocks. It's learning how to spend the hours well, knowing exactly which ones were worth it. So there you have it, listeners. If birthdays are checkpoints, then 26 feels like I just saved the game after surviving the boss level. I've got the scars, the bonus points, and a much better understanding of which tools I actually need to keep in my inventory. These 26 lessons are not a manifesto, not a rule book, just little breadcrumbs I've dropped for the version of me that might get lost again someday. And maybe for you too, because here's the truth. You don't arrive at grown in one clean sweep. You arrive there slowly. In missed calls, you no longer chase, in boundaries you stop apologizing for, in kisses that taste like clarity instead of chaos. I have learned that healing isn't loud, it is subtle. It's in the way my shoulders don't tense when I open my phone, in how I no longer turn every crush into a 6-season series in my head before the pilot even airs, in how I can walk away from the table without leaving my worth behind in the chair. Faith has stopped being the thing I was told to hold and started being the thing I feel when I trust myself. Grief doesn't knock anymore, it just slips into the passenger seat sometimes, and I've learned to keep driving. Love isn't the happy ending, it is the pen you hold when you realize you get to write the next chapter. So maybe that's the real plot twist of 26. Realizing you are not the story you were handed, you are the story you choose to keep telling. And if you're listening to this, whether you're 16, 26, 36, 86, remember this. You can rewrite your narrative at any point. You can burn the old draft. You can start mid-sentence. The plot is yours to stir. Remember that this is all about pruning and planting. Heartbreaks that humbled us and friendships that held us. Espresso martinis and early mornings, and still becoming. Even when you thought you were already done, because if I've learned anything at all, it is that the lesson is never the ending. It is just the next beginning. So listeners, here is to 26 years of lessons learned, relearned, sometimes ignored until the universe yelled them at me, to the heartbreaks that made room for better love, to the friendships that held me together, to the plot twist I didn't see coming, and to the girl who's still here writing the next chapter. As always, listeners, take what resonates, leave the rest, and here's to growing, glowing, and stirring the plot, one espresso martini at a time. But for now, it's time to wrap up this episode. If you are enjoying my podcast, don't forget to rate it 5 stars, because it not only lets me know that you enjoy listening, but it also helps my podcast get boosted so that I can reach a wider audience. Follow at Stirring the Plot Pod on all social media platforms to stay up to date and never miss an episode. If you'd like to connect with me, I'm just at Dayna J Francois on all social media platforms. I will have everything linked in the show notes. And with that being said, if you liked listening, make sure that you subscribe to my podcast and tune in weekly, because I'm gay, I'm hot, and if there's one thing about me, I'm gonna stir the plot.